Welcome everybody. We are working on our mobile first Navbar, and we got a couple little things kind of going on here. Number one, I noticed when I load my page, let's do a reload, and we still have some toggle bar issues a little bit here. Number one, these are still not working, and number two, I think these are called chevrons, and these can be kind of confusing. I think I want to go to a plus minus system on here. And we're going to do some significant changes to this HTML5 reset child JavaScript file because we want to play a little bit more with different mobile width sizes. So I've experimented with a couple of different sizes, and we're going to try one out, and then we'll fine tune it a little bit. Basically, what I'm thinking is, first of all, when we load or resize to a small size, I shouldn't have to see these nested links. Certainly not a double nested link like this level 3 here. Okay, so we're going to want to make sure we hide it. Obviously, these buttons need to start working when we click them to hide or unhide. And then we're going to do kind of an intermediate stage between this and between when we have a full horizontal layout. And I know this is going to look kind of ugly, but we're going to have it so these sort of drop down only when we hover over the links. But there's going to be no toggles here, right? So that's the widest. But somewhere in between, right about here, I want to have this kind of a nav bar with those toggle buttons working. And what we'll do is we'll hide all nested lists here, just like we hide them at the narrowest screen. And then we'll have the toggles on there as well. So this is what we're going to aim for. So let's go ahead and get working on here. And so we're going to start with this on this little note here. So we're going to use 3 different widths, screen widths. The first one we're going to do is at 861. We're going to say if it's greater than or equal to 861. I believe this is one of the breakpoints, or maybe the next. I think the other one is. This is one I think we decided on for the width of the screen. And what we're going to do is we're going to target this just a little bit different. On the larger screens, we want to remove any hidden classes. So we don't want those showing up. So instead of add class, it's going to be remove class. And we're going to remove class hidden from here, but we're also going to remove it from any of the children as well. To do this, I'm going to put I'm going to go ahead and put the developer tool out open here. And I just want to target the nested list. It's a UL with the class of children. So we're going to hit that with our CSS. So let me just go ahead and bring this back over here. So it's the UL.children. And it's going to be a remove class. Now, if there is no class called hidden, then we're okay. And this might be on resize or after having done some of this, but if it doesn't have class of hidden, it's not going to crash. It's just not going to do anything. So we're going to remove class hidden from anything on a wide screen. But then we're going to do an intermediate width. So we're going to do the same thing we did before. Now notice in Web Matrix, it's really good at closing your parentheses. As soon as you open one, it closes it. And it's window. Oh. Outside of the parenthesis, it's dot width. And remember, that tells us what the width is. It's going to be greater than or equal to 768. And I believe this is our breakpoint we're using for the navbar. And in it, what we're going to do is we're going to remove a class from here, but we're going to add the class on our children because we want to hide the children because I don't know, it's the best seen and not heard. Well, I think it's best not seen and not heard. That's rude, isn't it? I was a child once. Oh, well.
You were?
Yes, and I exist outside of my classroom. That's probably the biggest shocker to you all. Okay. By the way, we're saying if it's, oh, I said less than or equal to. I want to say greater than or equal to 861. So that's like, hey, we're 861 or wider. That covers everything, 861 or wider. And then we're saying, well, if not that, anything that's greater than or equal to 768 or wider. So at this point, our else covers everything more narrow because everything goes from the widest down to the most narrow. So in this case, our little if, else, if structure is the reverse of mobile first. This is mobile last, but I think that's okay. I think you cut me some slack. Now we're going to add the class of hidden to everything. And, oh wait, I forgot. This was not remove class. This was going to be add class. And I'm just going to copy this and paste it in here. And what we're saying here, and we could actually do the opposite. We could say less than 768, less than 861, and then else. But on the narrowest, we hide our ULs, whether they're nested or not. Intermediate stage, we only want to hide the children. And then on the big screen, we want to show everything. Excuse me. Let's go ahead and see. Now, this is just for when we load the screen. So I'm going to load it and see if this is working okay. All right. So at this point, I cannot see the nested list on this intermediate width. I go wider, and I can see everything. And we have some hover issues. We'll deal with that later. When we go the most narrow, they're all hidden except for this. Now that was a resize, so let's reload without resizing and see what happens. Okay, well it's still showing on this screen. But we've at least tackled part of this. Okay, and we're not done. So the next step I want to do is I want to look at this responsive toggle, and instead of this thing called chevron up, we're going to put plus. So change it so it's a span of class of glyphicon to glyphicon plus. Get rid of the chevron up or whatever else you might have had, unless you want to do it different. Hey, it's up to you. Choose whatever glyphicon you like. When I hit refresh now, it should be a plus sign, and that should be a little bit more obvious. Yeah. So now it's a plus, meaning if I click it, it will expand it. Of course, it's doing the opposite of what I want it to do. Okay, I noticed there's some issues still, and I think it has to do with specificity. So I tried to add on the document.ready, I tried to add a class of hidden, and I'm not seeing it here. One thing I will try is I'll try an if statement like this, just to double check. And I'll do a less than. Let's just see if that happens to fix it. Okay, there it is. I expand. They're still showing. Okay, so this leads me to believe that I might have a specificity issue. Or actually come to think of it, I might be having an issue with my code in here. So let's do a couple just double checks on things. Number one, you want to run your developer toolkit. You're using JavaScript. So let's double check and make sure we don't have a JavaScript error. So I click on this. I look at my error. There is no error here. So I don't have an error with my JavaScript. I'm writing it correctly, but something's not working right. So I'm going to take a little closer look and see if I can figure out why does the UL not have a class of hidden. When I specifically told it a UL with the class of children, I want to add the class hidden here. All right, I did a reload here, and when I did my reload, I looked at my developer kit, my developer tool, and I realized this UL has a class of children and hidden, so it is hidden. So here's what happened. When I clicked this button, it toggled it from this UL. So that has to do with my toggle here. And right here, nav UL, there you go. I wanted it only to target the direct child of the nav. I'm going to put this here and see if that works. There. Perfect. Okay. So make sure you do that. Now I need these buttons to work as a toggle. But I should also deal with resizing. Basically, my resize is trying to do exactly what I was trying to do on page load. So theoretically, I should be able to just copy all of this, and I should be able to paste it all down here. Add a little tabbing, save my changes. This point here is almost ready to work. We just need to toggle the class of hidden when we click this toggle, and we want to change the plus to a minus. We're going to add it right over here. Okay, so we're going to do the add hide or unhide the menu when the nested toggle is clicked. This is what we're going to do. You don't have to put all of the comments here, but it is good to note what it is you're going to do. I like to comment out what I'm about to do so I can try it. Okay, in here we want to target these buttons, not the others. And if you look here, we called it a nested toggle. So I'm going to put dot nested toggle like so. So we're going to find anything that has a class of nested toggle. And then when we click it, we're going to create another function like we did. So it's going to look, basically, it's going to start off kind of like this. Nested toggle.click, function, and then we're going to have these in here. We close with the parenthesis. That is closing this click.click. And then a semicolon, because this is all one instruction. And in here is where we're going to do a lot of code. Okay, so we're going to do an if. If what? It's if. I'm going to put inside of our if statement, we're going to put a little spacing here. We're going to put this. If you put in parentheses this, you're referring to the outer thing we're talking about here. So this is referring to this nested toggle that we just clicked. So with this, I'm going to put dot siblings. And in it, we're going to do a sibling, which is a UL with a class of children. So if it has a sibling that's a UL with a class of children, we're going to check to see if it has a class of hidden. Okay. And notice there's two parentheses here. All right. If it has a class of hidden, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to, we need to basically remove the glyphicon that says plus, and then we want to add in a glyphicon of minus. And so what that looks like is it looks like this. This, you see it? Anyway, okay. We are going to target this again. This dot, now we're going to look at the children of this, because, let's go back here. Remember, it's the button. We want to change the span tag. And the span is a child of the button because, see, the button begat the span. Okay, whatever. All right, but it's a child. Okay. So it's this dot children. And we're going to target that span tag. So we're just going to target it by span. And then we're going to remove a class. We're going to move a class of glyphicon. Now, in this case, it's the glyphicon plus. Now, you might, something you should note. When you are removing a class or you have a class, you do not put the dot there. If you were to put the dot, that would say it has a class of dot, whatever. And so this is one time where it's not like a selector. Has class or remove or add class, you do not put the dot. So we're going to remove the class of glyphicon plus, and then we're just going to go right back in and add class. While we're removing, let's just go ahead and add, and it's glyphicon minus. Trust me, it works. Well, wait to trust me till after you see it work. Then you can trust me. All right. So remove class, add class. That's under the if. Guess what? Otherwise, that's our else statement. We're going to expand this out a little bit here. Else, we're going to basically reverse it. This dot children span, we're going to remove class of minus and add a plus to it. And we're almost done. All this does is change the it changes the plus or minus. Go ahead and hit refresh and see if that's working. Okay, the minus isn't coming back in. And we'll take a look at that in just a moment. This children span, remove class, glyphicon minus, add class, glyphicon plus. Yeah, it should work, but just to be safe, there's one more thing we need to do, and that is, I'm going to do it to this also, and we need to toggle the class of hidden. So we're going to do siblings, and then that's ul.children, toggle class, and it's hidden. And I'm kind of jumping back and forth between, make sure I got this right, yeah. Let's just see if this works before we do anything else. Save my changes. Hit refresh. Well, let's see if the toggle works now. Aha! And look at that, it comes back. And it works for all of them. Great, that was it. Once I toggled the class, everything else seemed to fall into place. Now, I've really gone over on my standard timing here, but I think we're at a good stopping point for this video. So you can stay tuned for us to kind of, finish this up. Hopefully we get somewhere soon, and we'll get all of this working correctly. So stay tuned.